My name is Gloria May. Today is January 7th, 1997. I am here to interview Regina Formal Berger, who is a survivor of the Nazi Holocaust. I am doing this under the auspices of the Holocaust Documentation and Education Center, Incorporated. The purpose of this interview is to add to the oral history of the Holocaust so that through this living memorial, future generations will know what happened. With this knowledge, we hope to prevent any such occurrence in the future. Thank you very much for being with us today. We'll begin if you can please tell me your full name.
My name is Regina Formal Berger.
And what name were you born?
Regina Steinfeld.
And what is your birth date?
May 10, 1926.
You're how old now?
70 years old.
And where were you born?
I was born in a small town in Poland named Pilica. It's near Kielce.
About how big was the town?
Very small. We were 1,800 Jews and 1,500 Poles. And around the town was all farms, Polish farms.
And how did the Jewish population earn their living?
Mostly they used to go to the farmers and they used to bring back some wheats and chicken and eggs, and we had a grocery store, and my father was going to the farms and buying wheats and selling to bigger cities. He used to go to Zawiercie, a city near Pilica, was a bigger city, and my father used to get up 2 o'clock in the morning with horses and buggy and used to go selling all his wheat, like half and half is German, how you call it, wheat, and corn, rye, all this kind of he used to buy and go sell it and make flour out of it, and it was nice.
And what were your parents' names?
My father was Leibush and my mother was Feigele. And I had a brother and a sister. My sister was Franja Fradl, and my brother was Zelig, a younger brother for me.
And where were you in the family? Middle?
I'm the middle, yeah.
Tell me what life was like in your town.
It was very nice. We were a very close Jewish family. My mother had 6 brothers, and she was the only sister. My father was 5 brothers and 1 sister, and my father's family moved to Lodz. My mother's whole family was living in Pilica. My grandmother, Bube Malke, was every Saturday she used to sit Shabbos and brought us candy, Shabboshoit, we used to call it. I don't know how you say it in English. She gave every Saturday, every child, she gave a penny candy. And we used to stay in the line, and Bobby used to give us the candy every Saturday. And then we had the river Pilica. We used to go down to the river, and we used to swim, and we used to go to the woods. We had a beautiful, beautiful, I went to Beis Yaakov, and we had a very, very nice childhood.
What was that, the school? Your school?
My school, we went to a Polish school. We had to go to Polish school. It was those years, I didn't understand, but then now I can see it was a lot of anti-Semitism, but I didn't understand then. I was writing in my left hand, and I used to be beaten up terrible to learn to write in the right hand. I learned to write, I'm writing in the right hand, but I'm not doing nothing, everything with the left hand, because the school teacher used to beat me so bad that I didn't realize then as a child that I was Jewish, that he's beaten me. But maybe it was, I have no idea why I was beaten.
Did he say anything?
No, I learned to write with my right hand. And then we went after school, we went to a Hebrew school. I mean, we called it Beis Yaakov. And it was a normal, beautiful life.
How far were you able to go in your schooling?
I went to six years, and we usually in Poland we went 7. But Hitler came in 39, and we could not go anymore to school.
Okay, before we talk about that, are there any other incidents of anti-Semitism that you recall before?
No. It was, to me, when Pilsudski died, he was the prime minister from Poland. We cried. We thought he was very good to Jews in Poland. We put on black things on our arms when he died, and we had the uniforms, and Till then, I did not know that I was too young to understand. In my family, we never talked about it. My father always had business with Poles, and I never felt as maybe other people, I never felt as...
What year was that he died?
My father didn't die.
No, the head
In
of...
36 or 35, I don't recall exact the time.
And do you remember anything changing then at that time?
Much change. A lot of us. Another prime minister came in. His name was, I can't think of his name now. Yeah, but still, I didn't till 39. I was a youngster. I did not understand the situation in Poland because my father provided very well, and my mother was a very educated woman. Oh, I didn't bring my mother's picture. Oh, a friend of hers gave it to me from New York. She sent it before the war, and I got the picture here because I want to make it bigger. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm really sorry.
So, what kind? Do you remember hearing anything of what was happening in Germany at that time before the war came?
No, I never heard nothing. I was too young, and I didn't understand nothing. Till the Germans came into Poland.
And when was that?
In 39.
When about?
In the fall, I think, was it, yeah.
Can you remember exactly what happened?
The minute we was standing outside and they marched in. I don't have to tell you. Everybody knows how they walked and they marched in. And then it started. First thing what they did, we had a priest, a rabbi, and a druggist. First was those three. They brought him out to the marketplace. We had a big marketplace. They brought him out and they killed him. This was the first good morning, the minute they marched in, to show the people that they mean business. And then I start realizing what's going on. And then they start picking Jews out with the beards and pulling the beards. And then, like I told you before, my father was selling haver, means wheat. And they used to knock on my father's door day and night that they want for the horses the wheat. And my father gave him what we had, but he didn't have any more, so they used to pull his beard. You say in the old time, the fathers used to have a beard. They used to pull his beard and had him, they went hafer, geben Sie mir hafer, geben Sie hafer. My father said, I don't have it, how can I give it to you? It didn't help. But thank God they left him alone after a while. And then they made a Jewish community center in Pilica, and they told everybody that we should give them silver and gold and the furs so that we can save our life. And this is what everybody tried to give what they had. And where we lived was not Germany, they was occupied Poland. You see, like Zawiercie, Sosnowiec was, they took it over, they made Germany out of it. So they made a border. You could not cross the border anymore. From Pilica, you couldn't go anymore to Zawiercie because it was already occupied. And they left us alone, and everybody was doing good. They made black markets, and it was, you know, you saw the Germans, you couldn't go at night, and we wanted them together. It was all right till 1942.
When was it that you had to stop school?
In 1939, the minute they came in.
What other rules were there? Do you recall?
We couldn't go out at night. We couldn't go to school anymore. We were verfluchte Jude, the Jew, you know, and then we had to put on the Jewish star. But we had, and then it was normal. People were doing, like I explained, black market, and it was going normal. We gave them everything. The Jewish community center used to Jews. They made Jewish policemen, you know, and we thought that we saved.
Did your family turn in all its valuables?
Yes, we tried to hide some, you know, and we tried to...
Where did you hide it, do you know?
I don't know. I have no idea where my father heard it. But I know then, when it came Judenrein, when they made in 1942, my mother took out all her gold, what she didn't give, and she gave us kids. We were 3 kids. And she said, here, maybe you can save your life with it. And she gave me some jewelry. So,
What did she give you?
she gave me her wedding band, and I had a little diamond my grandmother left me. I wore it, and she gave me a necklace. And then the rest she gave to my brother and sister. And then when it was Judenrein, we had to, every Jew started to run. Mostly they went to the marketplace. My family, we were dealing with farmers. My father, like I explained to you before, we went to the farmers. And we came into a farmhouse and then started tourists. He took all the money we had. So my father sent me out. No, before, he sent me out. We were laying and he heard us with the cows in a barn.
And when was that?
In 1942, when it was Judenrein.
About what month was that?
I can't.
What time of year do you remember?
It was maybe July. It was the sun. I don't remember dates, and I just blacked it out.
Before we get to that, was there any thought of leaving before 1942?
Yeah, I used to go to take off my Jewish star, and I used to take a buggy and horses and run into the farm. It's because I was a blonde and blue eye, so I looked more like a Gentile. And I used to go into the farm and get some wheat and get some flour and all kind of food, bring it home because I risked my life. But I didn't, you believe me, I didn't understand that I'm even risking my life. I'm always a tomboy. So I always went in and I took the buggy with the horses, and I loved it. And until 42, and then 42, the whole thing changed.
Were you ever stopped at that time?
No, I used to go through the Germans like nothing, and they never bothered me, and never really was. As home, I don't have. I've always nice.
And was your father able to make a living during that time between 39 and 42?
Yeah.
He was still selling to the farmers?
We had a grocery store. So my mother had soap. And we hid the soap. I remember they went in the yard and they digged out and they hid the soap. And when you had soap in Poland during the war, you were a millionaire. So my mother must, you see, in Europe, parents never talk to children. They never explain nothing. They try to shelter them. Maybe I did the same with my kids. Just, I don't know how to explain it to you. I know my father made a living, and I used to go to the farmers, bring in everything. I never remember not having till the Judenrein.
And what was the soap? Was bar soap?
Bar soap, yeah. We had lots of bar soap. And we had lots of stuff left from the grocery store, so we have no problem. Like Shabbos, I remember, my mother baked challah till 42. We lived in our home. And we had the Germans. I mean, you couldn't, you put out your nose, and my father was always afraid that they go knock in the door asking for, more wheat, more hafer. Thank God we didn't have no...
Was your father able to go to synagogue during that time?
No. Who went to synagogue? You couldn't even get out.
But you were observing the holidays at home?
Oh, yeah. Every Saturday. It was very unorthodox town.
And what were you doing yourself? Were you able to maintain an education? Or?
Yes, this is the most important that I forgot that you'd ask me. Thank you. We had a slaughterhouse in Pilica, a Jewish slaughterhouse before the war. So they made a hospital out of it. And it started until 1942, till they started typhus. And this is the most important I remember. It was next town, it was named Żarnowiec. It was a small town. And they brought the people from Żarnowiec, our town, to this slaughterhouse, to this hospital with the typhus. As a young girl, I always wanted to be a nurse like you. And I went down there, and they gave me to wash the floor, to wash the clothes, and I helped. One day, a woman had a baby. This made me cry. Now I got it. And the Nazi walked in with those boots, you know, and the baby comes out. He took the baby and like this, threw it out the window. And the hand or the foot was left, and I stood there. And I asked God, where are you? How in heaven could you ever? And from then on, I became numb. I couldn't believe in nothing anymore. Then I started growing up. Till then, thank God, in my house we had food. I was a nice Jewish girl, you know. Till then, I saw the hand in this Nazi from the mother's wound come out the baby. Can you believe something like this? You don't mind having me a word? No, I know I haven't.
Were you sick at any time?
No.
Anybody in your family
No.
in those years?
No, we thank God my mother was so young. My mother was born 1906, and my father was born 1900. They were young people.
Okay, so then what happened in 1942 in the summer that changed?
Oh, brother.
And how did you find out things were going to change?
They announced, first of all, this is cute, I have to tell you it's something nice. When the war broke up, was next door to us was one guy, he had a radio. It's a small town, you know, 1,800 Jews and 1,500 Poles. Can you imagine something like that? They had a radio with the earphones. And the Jews stayed in the line, the whole town of Jews. What's the news? What's radio? What's they say? Oh, the Russians are here, the Russians are here. They all believe that the Russians are coming, that's going to be finish the war. But
when was that?
This was in 1939.
In 39,
yeah,
before the Germans got there?
No, before the Germans got there, yeah. They were praying to God, you know, everybody, that maybe the Russians will come, not the Germans. And then it was a normal life. I didn't understand too much.
Okay, then you heard an order in 1942?
Yeah.
Was it announced where?
Announced that all the Jews, they just can take one small suitcase and they have to go to the marketplace. Everybody has to come to the marketplace. And like I explained to you, my father's family and my father's son went to lodge, and mostly the family. We were 38 grandchildren in the same town. Can you imagine my Bubbe Malki with the candy for 38 grandchildren? It was the most beautiful thing you ever could see. They went to the marketplace, and we went to the farm, to the Pauls. My aunt, I have the pictures. I had a very well-to-do aunt, and she had a maid, my father's younger brother, my mother's younger brother. And she had twins and 4 boys. So she gave everything what she owns to the maid to hold those kids. The maid took the kids, and they went to the marketplace. I wasn't there, I don't know, but I heard about it. Then they brought the kids back to the marketplace, and the German killed the kids in front of the mother, the 4 kids. I went to Poland last year, and I met the maid. She gave me the pictures from the 4 kids. I haven't got them with me here, too bad. And she explained that the Nazi found the kids. The Poles in Pilica told me that she took the kids and gave them to the Nazi. You know, she's an old lady, and I was scared that I couldn't believe. I was very scared. I was glad to run away from there. So I don't know who to believe. But the kids were killed in front of their mother and father in the marketplace. We went to the farm, and like I explained to you before, that my father, mother, and my brother and sister and me, we were laying by the cows, and they were kicking a whole night. The cows were kicking us. And then the light came out, the sun came out from and my father said those words to me. All night I had it. My teure Rufkele, van dir het nog de zon aufschijnen. For you the sun is going to shine. Wait and see, the sun is going to shine for you. And next night he sent me out to get money for the farmers, that I have to bring money, what they owe me, on my father. And I went out. I came back a couple of hours later. My parents and my brother and sister weren't there anymore. Never saw him again.
What had happened?
I went to the farm where they stood. The Nazis came, the German soldiers, and they took him out. Whatever happened, they don't know. They didn't see him killed. Till this day, I don't know what. Somebody told me that they took him to Auschwitz. I have no idea whatever happened to him. Just with me, my life story now, the farmer took me through the border, because it was like I explained to you before, it was the occupied Poland I was, and over there was already Germany. They made Germany out of it. I had family in Belgium. My mother's sister lived in Belgium, her whole family. So I figure I go into Belgium, it's still plenty Jews there, they were working, and there wasn't Judenrein in Belgium, so maybe my aunt will save me.
About how far was that from you?
Oh, 60 kilometers, maybe, something like that. I came into Belgium. The minute I walked in, a policeman caught me and asked me for papers. I did not have papers. They put me in concentration camp. I never saw my aunt. I never saw nothing. I never saw Belgium. I just went in right to the camp. They took me to a beautiful camp. The name was Bolkenheim. Very nice camp.
Where was it?
In Overschlesien, in Germany, in the border, I think. Maybe you read about the book, Gertrude Klein's book, All About My Life. I was there with her.
And describe what the camp looked like.
It was a nice camp. We was mostly girls were from Belgium, Sosnowiec, and I had nothing. I came just like...
What did you have on?
Just my clothes on. I don't remember exactly what I had on. I know I needed a bra. I didn't have it. It was terrible. They helped me there. And we worked in a Weberei, in a spinnerei, in a Weberei in camp in Bolkenheim.
What is that?
What they make the materials, how you call it, Weberei. But they make the materials. Can't think of the English name. Webbing? Is it webbing?
Weaving?
Weaving. Mine English here in Florida is getting worse. Oh, you're so sweet. I can't get over. So I was weaving. I was making nylon for the parachutes, and we making blankets for the soldiers. And then we had yarn, so we started learning to knit, and we made ourselves some sweaters, and we had a very nice, the woman that took care of the German lady, she took some Jewish girls out to shop. Really, was really nice.
Where were you living?
In the camp.
What did it look like where you were living?
How you call those beds, you know, one on top of the other, how you call it in English? How you call those
bunk
beds? Yeah, without mattresses. Then we had they gave us potatoes in the soup. It was really nice. Then one day, again, we have to, the Russians and the Americans are closer.
And when was that? About how long from the time you got there?
Oh, I was from 42, and the death march was When we started in 44, the end of, we were, I think, 3-4 months marching. We were 2,500 girls, and we were marching in the Dead March. I can't recall exactly the dates because
What time of year about?
In the winter. This was in the winter. This because we were freezing. This
So it was the winter of 44?
44. So we started.
Okay,
March.
before we move on, tell me a little bit more about what a typical day was like at their camp.
At Balkenheim, yeah, we worked 12 hours. Some girls worked in the morning 12 hours, and some girls worked all night 12 hours. So they switched us. And every morning we had to get out, and they had to count us, and they have to make sure that we are clean. They shower. They gave us showers. Yeah, we got in 10, 20 in one shower. But when I'm later, this was a palace. This was beautiful. So it was very nice in Camp Bondale till we start marching. I mean, we had better meals. We took showers. We could make our own clothes, and not clothes, sweaters, or, you know, so it was easier. But we worked 12 hours without stopping. Nobody beat us. The Oberschlei, or how you call the woman that took care of them, they think she was really, and the girls gotten along nice. Everything was nice.
And it was all women?
All women, yeah, sure.
Were they all Jews?
Sure, all Jews. All Jews.
Was there any contact with non-Jews at all during this time?
No, you could not get out. You were like...
Did anybody try to escape?
No, I never.
Were you sick at any time during that period?
No, I was strong. I was young. How old was I? 1942.
Was there medical treatment available if you did get sick?
I have no idea. I didn't know. I have no idea.
Were there any incidents of brutality that you saw?
Not in Camp Bondale. It was really, maybe they were, I don't know. But you did. You made your own friends. Like I was with some friends. I found another woman from my hometown, Pauline Klein. Now she lives in here in Florida. She was with me, and then I met another one. You made cliques. You made friends. You slept with them on the bunks, and you made a friend with, you didn't bother. First of all, you didn't have time. And then when you laid on the bunks, you were dreaming. Oh my God, when I be free, I go home, and like I explained to you, I had my wrought iron bed. I thought this was, my mother just bought it for me. Oh, I go home, and first thing I'm going to do is go home, get my wrought iron bed. And then I was dreaming that when we go home, we're going to buy lots of potatoes and take the potatoes sliced on the bread, and we're going to make potatoes with bread. It's all what you didn't have time. You had to work 12 hours, and then you were young and you needed sleep. So we didn't have time. I didn't have time to look around to make other friends. This is it.
And you said the food was what? What did the food consist of? Usually?
Soup and bread and margarine. Yeah, but they gave us a nice thick soup. Like we used to have in the march, we stopped in Heldbrunn, and we started walking, so we stopped in one camp named Helbrich. And in Helbrich they start already, we were cold. So what they did, they cut the hair from the people, and they changed clothes. They took off our clothes, they put us already at start, then we start feeling the tsuris, the trouble that went on. The tall girls got the short clothes, the short girls got the long clothes. I don't know if I was lucky. I had the most beautiful blonde hair, curly hair, and the woman would not cut my hair. I wish she would, because now I would have thick hair. We were full of lice, and then it started to us. And then we started marching, and I met a girl from Sosnowiec that she moved in during the war. They run away from Sosnowiec to my hometown, to Pilica. And this woman was a very pretty girl. She ran around with the Germans in Pilica. And she used to tell the Germans who hid, this Jewish girl told the Germans who hid this stuff in Pilica. And when I came to Helmbrecht, or was it Helmbrecht, I met this woman. And she was the head from the bunks. And what she did to me, she came over and said, Regina, you better be quiet, don't say nothing, and she became my friend. And what they did, they put KL, big KLs on the arms, and she gave me a small one. It's my mother and my father. One is my mother, one is my father, the KL. I would never. So this.
Can you turn it just a little toward the camera? I don't know if we can see it. And what did it really stand for?
Concentration lager. And I became friends with her, and she helped me a lot.
And when was it that you got that tattoo?
But yeah, must have been in 44.
And that was in the winter still?
In the winter. We were marching for 3 months. And we were marching and marching and marching, and half of us dying and half of us killing on the way that they could not walk anymore. You must have heard the story from the mother.
Okay, let's back up just a little bit before we start the march. Were you hearing any news of what was happening in the war while you were at
No,
the camp?
no. The only thing we heard that in England was the guy with the umbrella, what is his name? The minister, an English minister. I can't think of his name. Name's terrible. I'm getting old.
And what did you hear?
They said that because of him, we Jews have to suffer. Because, Slam, you don't know his name? You never heard of him? He was walking with a hat and an umbrella always in England. He was a minister in England before Churchill. He signed a pact with Russia and Germany. Can't think of his name. Terrible.
Chamberlain?
Chamberlain, God bless you. Because of Chamberlain is a Jew, but he wasn't. You Jews have to suffer. When England, this we heard, when England would give in, they give in, you Jews would be better off. But we never heard nothing. They were whispering that this and this, but nobody heard nothing. I don't believe it.
And were soldiers guarding the camp?
Oh, yeah. Sure, soldiers with guns and all this. Even on the march, they were.
And what was the hierarchy of the command, do you know? You had a woman over you, and she was...
No, on the camp in Volkenheim,
camp.
we had women, mostly women, and the guard was outside. I mean, we never see men. I never seen it. I never was interested. And the march was mostly men, all the men.
Then how were you told that... What were you told when you had a march? Before the march started, were you told anything?
No, we didn't hear nothing. No.
What happened the day you started to leave?
No, that they need the factory to make ammunition. So they have to change the machinery. They brought in men, what was true. They brought in men, and we were marching to Greenberg. And Greenberg is a Weberei, you mentioned in English, what they make, a factory that makes the Fallschirms and for the blankets and all this. How you say it in English?
The weaving?
Weaving. It's the weaving, a factory for weaving that they need us there. And they go marches till Greenberg. And don't ask me how many miles, because I have no idea. The only thing I know that we marched for 3 months. And
where did you sleep?
Don't ask. On the street, on the snow, frozen. We didn't feel. I don't believe. And they were killing us like mice. We were falling like, I mean, some girls couldn't even walk. You couldn't, there was a wagon on the, how you call it. When we went, I forgot to tell you, when we went, who was sick, they tell you, you can go in, it's a hospital there. You never was a hospital, they kill you right there then. One day we were in a barn, they gave us a barn. So we were less already, maybe we were then maybe 200 or something, or 300 girls
How
left.
many had started out?
2,000. we were, so they woke up a few girls, and I was one, and they took us out, 2 o'clock in the morning. I don't know, 2, 1, we didn't know. We lived like animals. We weren't the people. We were schweins, we were pigs. And you believed it. The only thing that you had in mind is my vet, maybe someday. That's all you dreamed. You didn't even think of your family. You didn't, on the march, you were hungry, you were. So they took me in the barn out, another 2 girls, and I thought I'm finished. But they, thank God, they gave me a shovel, and I digged holes to bury the people that they collect. They had a wagon, and they must have been hundreds of, one on top of the other, and we had to drag him down and put him in the graves and make it nice that they would know it was a grave there. They made sure. One day we walked by, and I saw on the window bread, and they put it out to cool it. I was a tomboy. I was a devil all my life. I just run down, and I grabbed the bread, and I shared with some friends of mine on the way. Can you imagine walking 3 months? I have no idea how we survived.
What were they giving you for food?
They just gave us a slice of bread. They did give us a thin slice of bread. They stopped in every town when we marched. They used to stop and gave us something. We ate rats, we ate grass, what we found. I remember a girl caught a cat, and that we all grabbed, fell down on this cat, maybe 10, 20 girls. We tried to grab the cat because we want the meat from the cat. And we killed the cat, and everybody grabbed a raw piece of cat, and we lived like this, like animals. We weren't people. I mean, and then we came into Greenberg, a camp named Greenberg. And Greenberg was already, I worked in a spinnerai. A spinnerai, is it English, spinnerai? But they make the thread. How would you call this in English? I would like to know it, because when I talk to the kids and they ask me, the threads is made from like cotton, you know. So you have to put your hands in water. A whole day you got your hands in the hand rots in the water, because can you imagine 12 hours working in the water and then they bring the straw from the field, and they had a machine, and a girl put in the hand, and the machine cuts you the hands off. You saw unbelievable things. You can't believe something like this could ever exist. And in Greenberg, I must have weighed maybe 50, 60 pounds already, and everybody, we didn't have no beds, no place where to sleep or to eat. They gave you have to run to grab something, they gave you to eat. So everybody grabbed a corner, a little corner, and this was their bed, and this was their house. This corner, you had to guide this corner with your whole life. And then when you got the little bread, you couldn't fall asleep, because you hid the bread in here, that nobody would grab the piece of bread from you. I mean, it's like animals. We weren't people, we were animals. And we were full of lice. Yeah, but in 1944, the Hungarian Jews came into Greenberg, and they were still healthy and strong. So they want to grab our place, because we came before and we grabbed this little corner of it. How did we get rid of them? This is cute. We took the lice and we started throwing at them. And they didn't know. Till this day, the Polish and the Hungarian are a little ripped because of the... And then from Greenberg, the Russians start coming, the Americans start coming, 1944, near and near. And they start marching us. And they start telling us that again, it's our fault. Verfluchte Jude, du bist ein Schwein, you a pig, you a filth, Because of you, this whole war, they blamed us for the war. So we were marching, and we came in near Czechoslovakia. And it was maybe a week before the war ended. I ran away from the transfer. And I came in, and a woman took me to the hospital.
How was it that you ran away?
I don't know. I just don't know what happened. Before I ran away, my best friend from my hometown, she had a sister with her and me. We were three musketeers. We wouldn't split. We grew up together. We still now the best friends. She's Pauline Kleinberg. And his sister is dying, and she's dying on my arm and her arm. But we just dropped her like, so she a piece of meat fell apart. It's nothing. We couldn't eat people. Yeah, but we were glad that we could grab her clothes. So his sister and me, who grabbed first to cover a little body? And I ran away, and I came into the hospital, and they treated me nice. I didn't know what happened. Where I was, my feet were all swollen up. I was a Muslim. I mean, I know I was very sick. And in 45, in May, was it May or April, the Americans came in. An American soldier walked over to me, and I was sick like a dog. I didn't have my whole feet and everything was frozen. And he was telling me he's speaking English. And I thought that they're going to take me to German. I didn't know that this American. I never saw an American. I wasn't 19 years old then. And he's telling me he's an American, not to be afraid. And he's taken out a cigarette and he's given me. And I hid onto the pillar, and I was afraid. Then he started speaking Jewish to me, and this was worst because the Jewish, I thought he's speaking German.
Did you speak Yiddish?
Oh yeah, I speak good Jewish. And then he took out a prayer book. And then I saw, I'm free. I'm going to tell you something. My darling, you're so sweet. Thank you for doing it. The best moment of my life. Yeah. I didn't tell you nothing about this march. This march, how the people were flying, how the people were killed, how they treat us like animals. We want people. It's unbelievable. Till this day, I can't believe. It's just... Then I was in the hospital.
Where was the hospital?
In Czechoslovakia. Clara, she wrote this city where we were, which hospital. I can't remember. I didn't read the book lately. I read it when she wrote it right at the beginning. I couldn't even read. I was crying. Then the American soldiers came and they say, we want to go to the American zone or we want to stay because the Russians are coming in Czechoslovakia. So they took us in a city, Kam, in a city in Germany, is Bavarian, not near Bavarian there. And it was a sanatorium, and they put me in the sanatorium because I was very sick. I went with the Americans. I wouldn't stay with the Russians. I mean, I was smart enough.
You went by truck? How did you go?
I think by jeep they took us. They were the Americans, come on, they were very nice. I mean, and especially the guy that came to me and he spoke Jewish, and I thought it's German. He was a rabbi in the service.
Do you remember what his name was?
I have the pictures. I got the pictures from him at home. I wish I can bring him next year. And I went to the hospital, and I got better, and then we met some more people, and we lived in Germany. Then I decided I want to go back to Poland to find maybe somebody is alive. And what we did, we went from in Germany, from one city to the other, and we signed our names. Maybe you will see my name, maybe a family, maybe somebody. We start looking. And then I found out I have nobody. We were 38 grandchildren and 10 brothers and sisters and their families. Big, big family. Was left one cousin and me for the whole family. That's all I had. My cousin lived in Sosnowiec. After the war, I went to Sosnowiec to see my cousin. And I stayed in Poland, but I didn't like it. After Germany, I didn't like it. So I went back to Germany, and he from Poland went to Israel.
How did you get back to your hometown?
I didn't go back to my hometown after the war.
You never went back?
No, because I heard that they killed, and they did. After the war, a Jewish family, they had a flour mill, and they went back to get the flour mill, and the Poles would not give it to them, so they killed them. And the sons, 2 sons and a daughter live in France now. They are alive, 3 kids. They saved them by farmers, and the parents they killed, so I would not go back. I never went back. I went to Sosnowiec because lots of Jews were there. It was a bigger city, so I went there. To a small town, you were afraid to go. You couldn't go. So, and from there, I went back to Germany. I had to go through the border again. And going back in Germany, I met in Berlin my father's best friend's son. And I didn't like him. I was a young, full of life girl. Now I'm not telling you any more about concentration camps. You want me to talk about more? I don't know what you want me to say.
So you met this boy?
I met Max was his name, and I met him, and he was 11 years older than I am. A very nice young man. And I didn't like him. I was a young girl. I was not quite 19. I don't know how old I was. Very young, full of life. And I knew him as I was 10, and he was already 21 at home. So it didn't. So I went away. And then in Berlin, somebody told me that my father's sister is alive. And she is in Bergen-Belsen. That's all I had to know. In the meantime, in Berlin, I met a young man. He came back from Russia. He heard in Russia, and I liked him.
And what was his name?
Who knows? It's 1945, the end of 1945. And I said to him, I like you, but I want to go to my aunt. I know my aunt is alive, and I would love to that she would marry, give me away or something, because we liked each other. And I was brought up, it's a joke, I was brought up, it's very important to be a virgin all my life. God forbid that you lose your virginity. It's a shame I'm talking about this, but it's interesting. And I wanted my aunt, so we went with this fella, we went a whole group. We used to go by groups. We took the train and we used to go. We didn't have nothing to do, we were youngsters. And how did we live in Germany? The UNRWA gave us, and the Jewish Community Center from America helped us. And this way we didn't have to work. And I came to Bergen-Belsen, and I never saw my aunt in my life. She lived in Lodz, and I lived in Pilica, like you lived in California and from Rhode Island. It's just unbelievable. I knew the address because we were correspondents already, and was then maybe 3, 4 women talking. And I ran over to my aunt and hugged her and kissed her. I said, Ciocia, this is Polish. You, my aunt. I recognized her because she looked like my father. Never saw her in my life. And I came with this fella, and he was a tailor. I don't know why I'm telling you this. And my aunt said, in our family, we have no tailors. That's something. Oh, you're not going to marry him. I said, you telling me who to marry? It's impossible. So she said, yes, I'm telling you. And I got mad, I run out. I run out, who I meet? Max again, the man from Berlin, my father's friend. And after 3 weeks, we got married.
What was his last name?
Formal. It was Formalski, Polish, and then when we became citizens, we took Formal. And then we were traveling, and we lived in a small town in Germany, in Kirchheim, and had a baby in Germany. My daughter was born in Germany. Then
What's your daughter's name?
Helena. And Helena was born, and then my husband remembered that his father's brother went to America, and he married an American lady. Her name was Ines, Auntie Ines, informal. They changed their name to Formal from Formalski, the uncle. And he wrote to Providence, Rhode Island, no address, nothing, my aunt's name, and was the only Formal in the telephone book. She made the papers and brought us over here to America.
And when was that?
In 1949, in August 1949.
And did you have other children then?
No,
After that time?
no. My daughter was born in Germany. Then we came with my daughter here to America. And when we came here on the ship, my daughter was very sick. And we had my aunt had brothers and sisters, very nice people in Providence. And they all waited for us on the ship. We came through Boston. And they brought us, and they took us to a beautiful restaurant that I couldn't understand. I had such a headache. I didn't know what they talking. I couldn't speak English. They couldn't speak nothing. They were real Yankees. They were born, I don't know if you ever heard Black Island in Rhode Island. It's an island in Rhode Island. And they were born there in Newport, and they are real Yankees, real Americans. How we communicate. I spoke better English a month I was in this country than I can speak now. And we came to Providence, and in Providence was known as jewelry, the costume jewelry. It was costume jewelry, mostly in Rhode Island. So my husband went to work in costume jewelry. In Germany, we had a good living after the war. Again, I was sheltered all my life till the concentration camp, so I haven't got...
So what did your husband do to earn a living in Germany?
In Germany, he was a custodian from German Nazi villas. And we were so proud that he's a custodian because in Germany, he took care, he let in who he wanted to those villas. We lived in a beautiful German villas, and he made a living. Then, and then again, the joint, the UNRWA, and all the people helped us. They gave us food, and we had a really nice life till we came to this country. And
did any Jewish organizations help you in this country?
Oh, yeah. So we came to this country, and my aunt was very poor. The husband died. She had to bring up 2 little kids, and she worked in the jewelry all her life, worked very hard. A real American lady like you. A beautiful, beautiful lady. And she took us in. And right away, my husband went working in a jewelry, and he was working, kicking a press. So he cried he wants to go back to Germany. He's not going to work here, kicking a press, and living with my aunt, with a baby. It was very tough. But she doesn't come nicer people. Auntie Ines, I love her. But I wouldn't go. So I heard from other refugees, but they came here, that it's a refugee service in Providence, Rhode Island, that they would help me. So I said, I go up. There was a lady, Mrs. Pritzker. And I went to Mrs. Pritzker, and I told her the story that my aunt cannot help you, and my husband wants to go back to Germany. And I'm not going back to step on the blood. My parents and everybody is there. I'm not going. But he's going, and I don't know what to do. Can you find him a better job? She said, I try. I said, can you find us an apartment? I heard that you're paying for an apartment, that you're helping us. She said, yes, I find you an apartment. And I try to fix you up that you can move out from your aunt. But we didn't need to because my aunt doesn't come nicer people. But she did. No, when I went back again, till she gave us the apartment, I went back to Mrs. Pritzker with my baby on my arm. I couldn't speak a word English, and crying again, my husband is leaving me and I'm not going. Okay, I find you a job. I'm going by a street, North Main Street. The office was on the street on North Main Street. And I heard in Jewish a man yelling, I need a help. I walked in and I told him, I have a husband, my husband spoke and wrote, very intelligent man. He's finished in Lodge Yeshiva. My husband was very brilliant, and that he can be a help. He said, send them in. The meantime, Saturday, me and my husband with the baby, we walked down, and everybody on the street told them that no help is staying with this guy because he's a very nervous guy that nobody is going. I told my husband, try, because nervous people are good people. He said, try it. And he tried. And he went to work for this guy, and this guy used him like, wasn't nice. I mean, he used him. He worked 80 hours, 90 hours for $40. It was good. And thank God.
Did you talk about your experiences during the war to anybody when you first came to this country? Did you tell anybody what you had been through?
Nobody was talking. It's funny, we did not talk about it. I don't know if we were ashamed or we were... First of all, my life was very important to learn my husband brought home a Jewish the forwards, the paper. I right away I canceled it. I want to learn English. It was very important to me to read the English paper. I mean, Jewish I know enough. So it was important, the English to me. And
how about you had more than one child?
Yeah, then in 1951 I got pregnant, and I have a son.
And what's his name?
Paulian, after my father, my husband's father's name.
And do you have any grandchildren?
I have 4 beautiful grandchildren.
And what are their names?
Michael, Stephen, Josh, Lara. Their last name is Lara. Then I got a Stacy and a Maxie I got.
Did you ever tell your children about your experiences during the war?
Not when they were little. The only thing I remember when they showed the pictures from concentration camp, I used to sit with my son and show him, and I told him, never again, never again. That's all I tried to. Till this day, I can't understand why we didn't. We tried to shelter our kids. I don't understand why we didn't talk. First of all, we were very busy here too. We had to make a living. We couldn't, first of all, we were a greenhorn. Yeah, now I tell you another experience. I don't know if it's important, it's not the same. I came to Rhode Island, and I was a very nice young lady, very fine, refined, and I met American ladies, and we belong to Hadassah, they belong to the old age, and I try to be with them. I want to be with them. So how do I become a life member of Hadassah? I have no money. So from the money that my husband brought home from the paycheck, I used to go to the supermarket and steal $1 and pay to become a life member. And I became a life member. I was here a year in this country. I became a Hadassah and of the old age. In this way, it's a nice story.
And why did you want to tell us your story today?
Maybe I want the world to know. I want them to know what we went through. And I want to know how America is beautiful too. The world isn't so rotten after all. I mean, we never forget. We never, just you have to live. You have to let people know that it's still good people Mostly I want to tell about America too, that America is good to me. I tell you another story about America, it's good to me too. That people, Hitler was, we were nobody, we were rats, we were pigs. But thank God, because of America, I came to this country with a sick baby. I couldn't speak a word English. I got an address to a doctor, and I walked to the buses, and I walked over to a lady, and I showed her the address. She took me by the hand, put me on the bus, went with me to the doctor, stood with me at the doctor's office, took me back home on the bus, wouldn't let me pay for the bus, and brought me back. After a couple of years, I couldn't speak a word. I didn't know who I wrote in the paper. I want to know who, nobody. I think this was to me America, not like now, but this what I don't know.
If you could leave a message for people in the future who were never able to speak to somebody who had lived through the war, what would you want to tell them?
Let me think. I don't know what I would tell them. That to forgive. The most important is forgiveness. When you don't forgive, you have no peace. To live peace with people and forgive. It's very hard when you lose somebody. It's easy maybe for me now to say, I lost so much. I fainted in Auschwitz in Poland. I never will forget. I can't forget. I miss my family. My mother was so young. My father was so young. Why can I live? Why did I make a beautiful life in this country? Because I forgive. Don't forget. Don't ever, ever forget. Just forgive so you have peace. The most important is peace, to forgive. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm not an educated person. I don't know. I just finished 6 years school. I tried to educate myself. I went to museums in Boston. I tried. Thank God my daughter's a principal in a Hebrew high school. She graduated Brown. She went to George Washington, Masters in Biology and Chemistry. My son-in-law is a lawyer. My son went to Temple. My grandchildren are very educated. My grandson is going to be a doctor. One is going to be a lawyer in computers. The younger one is 13 and one is 3 years old. I'm very proud of this country. And you know why I'm proud? I worked very hard. I worked very hard in this country. I forgive. I could sleep.
Before we close, is there anything about your experience that I haven't asked you that you'd like to include?
I can't think of it. I'm so involved in it. I told you that the most important was the baby, how the Nazi, and I had a good life till concentration camp, and after camp I had a good life too. So I was beaten once in Greenberg. I tried to grab something. You know, it's normal. To me it's a normal.
What happened that you were beaten?
I grabbed something. I tried to grab somebody's. A soldier used to hit me. And beaten is normal. We were beaten like on the march. We were beaten. We were beaten all the time. I mean, it's a normal thing. I think I told you. Maybe I don't remember so many. Don't forget, it's so many years.
You brought some pictures, and let's show those before we close.
Do you think we should show this? This is my city, Pilica.
Okay. You can look in the camera.
Isn't that nice? Can you see it? No.
Okay, in just a minute. Now tell me what this
this is my hometown, Pilica. My grandson went to Israel, and he found it, and he brought it, the picture, and I was so proud of him.
Where was this from in Israel?
I don't know where it is. It is in Israel. I don't recall, I don't remember. Okay. And then I have my whole family here.
Okay, now if you'll tell me left to right,
Okay.
or
With the
whichever
glasses, and the left side's my son, then it's my husband, and me, and my oldest grandson, and my son-in-law, and sitting is my daughter, and my granddaughter, my grandson, and my daughter-in-law next to my son in the bottom.
And when was this picture taken?
Oh, this was taken on Joshua's bar mitzvah. This was already, it's an old picture. I haven't got
About what year?
10 years ago.
About 1987?
Yes.
And
something
where
like-
was it taken?
In Philadelphia. He's 22. It's maybe 9, 10 years ago, yeah. Yeah. Then I have this is my favorites, my son and my daughter, my business. And they love each other very, very much. They're so close. It's just unbelievable.
Tell me their names again.
This is Helena Lera and Paul Formal.
And when was this taken?
Oh, this was last 2, 3 years ago.
About 1994, 95?
Yeah, 95, yeah.
And it was taken where?
In Providence, Rhode Island. That's my life. Thank God we have, and this is the new baby. After 10 years, my son had another baby girl. And her
what's
name is Maxie. And she was born in Providence, too.
And when was this taken?
Oh, she's 3, and this must be half a year old. I have no pictures here.
So about 1993? And in Providence?
Providence, Rhode Island, yeah.
I want to thank you very much for sharing your story with us today.
Oh, it was a pleasure. I'm sorry that I couldn't be of better help.
This has been Gloria May interviewing Regina Formal Berger about her experience as a survivor of the Nazi Holocaust. This interview will be included as a valuable contribution to the Oral History Library of the Holocaust Documentation and Education Center, Incorporated.
Can I say something?